Welcome. In today's video, we will talk about all the various entities that dwell in the mystic realm known as the Dreamlands. This glossary contains only the canonical entities that populate the Dreamlands, so only the entities that Lovecraft himself wrote about in his stories. Disclaimer: I have seen some people claiming that the Dreamlands are beyond the gates of the Silver Key, which is simply not true at all. The Dreamlands are just beyond what is known as the Inner Gate, which divide the physical reality from the dreaming reality, but they are very explicitly below the first gate. Source: through the gates of the Silver Key. The first entity that we will talk about are the Thum-Ha. The Thum-Ha are described by Lovecraft as having bulging eyes, pouting, flabby lips and curious ears, and were without voice. They do their only appearance in the story. The doom that came to Sarnath, not much is known about them, apart that they descended from the moon and started inhabit Myrna around 10,000 years ago. This land is said to be more remote than the lands of Waking and Dreamworld, and that they worship the statue of the great water lizard Bokrug. They were exterminated by the humans of Sarnath, but 1,000 years later, their god Bukrog destroyed the city, turning the majority of the people into these lizard-like creatures. The next are the spiders of Leng, which are just described as bloated purple spiders, which were at war with the men of Leng. Talking about Leng, let's talk about the men of Leng, which are introduced in the story Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath, as follow. They leaped as though they had hooves instead of feet, and seemed to wear a sort of wig or headpiece with small horns. Of other clothing they had none, but most of them were quite furry. Behind they had dwarfish tails, and when they glanced upward, he saw the excessive width of their mouths. Then he knew what they were, and that they did not wear any wigs or headpieces after all. In the story, the men of Leng are responsible for capturing and enslaving Randolph Carter, and through the use of a ship leading on the dark side of Moon, where the Moon Beast resides, to give him to the crawling chaos Nyarlathotep. They worship the Moon Beast as gods, but they were enslaved by them. Let's continue with the Moon Beasts themselves, described as squat, pale, toad-like creatures, superhumanly strong and noxious-smelling, having no eyes but instead a mass of pink tentacles at the end of their snout. Their origin is found on the moon. When they first descended, they were considered gods by the men of Leng, but soon they enslaved them. They don't use the men of Leng just as slaves, but like living livestock. In fact, they feed on the more fatty males of Leng. They communicate with other creatures via sound, but they seem to be voiceless. They are allied with the cats from Saturn and worship the crawling chaos, Nyarlathotep. Deeper within the Dreamlands of Earth, there are whooping creature known as Gast. They are described as living the vaults of Zin, and leap on long hind legs like kangaroos, the size of a small horse, very similar to humans, even if they are without a nose, a forehead, and other important particulars. They are cannibalistic in nature, even though they travel in groups to hunt or defend themselves from Gugs, like when it's shown in Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath, when a group of 15 defeat one Gug and communicate with themselves using guttural couching. Keep going, we have the Gugs. The Gugs are large, black-furred beasts with vertically opening fanged jaws. Their two eyes protrude from either side of their head, and their limbs bifurcate at the elbows, giving them 4 separate forearms. They are voiceless and communicate with each other with facial expression, and due to an unspecified sacrifice to the other gods, they were cursed by the Great Ones, quoting Lovecraft. They were banished to caverns below. Only a great trapdoor of stone with an iron ring connects the abyss of the earth ghouls with the enchanted wood, and this the Gugs are afraid to open because of a curse. They are also cannibalistic, and before the curse, they feed on the dreamers, but now hunt mainly ghasts, but even ghouls, but they are somewhat afraid of them. Next we have ghouls. The ghouls are humanoids with rubbery skin, hoof-like feet, canine bestial features, and long claws. They dwell near crypts and graveyards, traveling via underground tunnels to feast upon rotting corpses. They have a really peculiar relationship with humanity. An exemplum is the custom of changelings that would be make children ghouls grow up like humans. The majority of them communicate via cries and grunts, but some of them know how to speak humans' language like Pikmin. In the story Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath, they are allied with Carter and Nodens against the force of Nyarlathotep. Ghouls are known to use items such as headstones and were unfamiliar with other types of weaponry up until their battle with the moon beasts. It was here that they first discovered, and quickly mastered with the help of Carter, the use of spears and javelins. They, together with Zoogs, are the only one known creature in mythos that knows how to get inside the Dreamlands without dreaming like humans do. In these zones of the Dreamlands, we have also the bowls, huge, covered in goo, slimy worm-like creatures of at least several hundred feet long that crawl in the darkness. They exist both on the Dreamlands of Earth and on the planet Yadith, and won the war against the Yadithians. In the Enchanted Wood lives the Zoogs, small creatures, the size of cats, with large eyes and toothy maws surrounded by a cluster of short pink tentacles. They have dexterous forepaws with which they use weapons and tools. Their hairless tails are prehensile, allowing them to hang from limbs and bars like opossums. Commonly, Zoogs eat fungi and plants, but sometimes even physical and spiritual meat. The Zoogs are ruled by the Council of Sages. They are the enemy of Earth's cats. In the story, they lose the war against them. Next, we have the cats. The cats of Earth lives mainly in Ulthar, where no man can kill a cat. There are various types of cats: black, grey and white, yellow, tiger and mixed, common, Persian and Manx, Tibetan, Angora and Egyptian. They are allied with Carter against the Zoogs and saved him when he got brought on the moon to be sacrificed by the moon beast for Nyarlathotep. Next, we have the king of Seleuphais in the land of Uth-Nargai, Kuranes, which in life was a dear friend of Carter. In the story, Kuranes makes Carter aware that the Great Ones are guarded by the other gods. Next, the violet Gast and Gug, which lives in a zone where form doesn't exist and where he and colored gas study the secret of existence. And he is allied with Nodens, and with him saved Carter from Nyarlathotep at the end of Dream Quest. Next, we have the Night-Gaunts. They are the servants of Nodens and guard Engranek. They have human shape, but are thin, black and faceless. Their skin is slick and rubbery. They have a pair of inward-facing horns on their heads, a long barbed tail and prehensile paws. They can fly using a set of membranous wings. They are voiceless. They help Carter and the Ghouls in the battle against the moon beast. Even the Great Ones are afraid of them. Next, we have Nodens, one of the Elder Ones, mighty ones which are older than the gods themselves and lord of the Great Abyss, basically all the zones of Earth's Dreamland's inner core. As part of his army/allies, we have the Night-Gaunts, the god Neptune, Nereids, Tritons and Sangak. He consistently fought off Nyarlathotep and his servants, and in Dream Quest he saved Carter, Atal. Atal is a human that lives in Ulthar. He was the one who saw the cats killing the old couple that killed and tortured cats. He was an apprentice of Barzai the Wise, and after Carter gave him wine, he revealed information about Kadath. Barzai the Wise, he was a high priest in Ulthar that wanted to see the gods of Earth. When he was climbing up the mountain of Hatheg-Kla, he became greater than the gods. Unfortunately, he got sucked in the Black Heaven and killed by the other gods. The high priest was not be described. We know little about him, just that he is a priest in a monastery on the plateau of Leng that hides his face in a yellow mask of silk. Great Ones, they are the gods of Earth's Dreamlands, which lived on Kadath before moving to Ilekvad, Randolph Carter's city. They have a non-well-specified alliance with the other gods, and they don't want to be annoyed by the prayer of mortals. All mythological and religious gods are the Great Ones in Cthulhu mythos. Shantak. They are depicted as a flying bird-like creature larger than elephants. With heads resembling those of horses, they are sometimes used as a way of travel. They have scales rather than feathers and lay eggs of colossal size and rich flavor. They are allied with Nyarlathotep and fear the Night-Gaunt minions of Nodens. Hypnos. He was a proficient dreamer whose aspiration was that of ruling over all creation. He was able to dream all the way up the court of Azathoth, but the vision of it killed him and turned him into stone. That's all for this video. I didn't include entities like Nasht and Come and That. or even the larvae of other gods, etc., because we simply have too little information about them to even make a description. With all this said, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was my first long content on this channel, and we will see us in a next one.